Okay. Looks like we are live and ready to go. So, hello everyone, and welcome to the Champions Adjust Sports Talk Show. My name is Aaron Mashbitz, and I'm the owner and founder of Champions Adjust, which is a sports performance brand that's centered around our mindset program, which is a Champions Adjust mindset program. So, if you're an athlete or a parent of an athlete or a coach watching or listening to this, please get with our mindset programs. We have mental skills classes, online classes, group coaching, one-on-one coaching. All can be found at champsadjust.com. Also, part of our sports performance brand is this sports show. We release a podcast episode every single day. And on top of that, we have amazing apparel and merchandise for the everyday athlete, like this hat, like this long sleeve performance gear that I'm wearing. All can be found at champsadjust.com. And if you sign up for our newsletter, you'll get all those updates. You'll also get a weekly newsletter about mental skills and mindset and things of that nature. But twice a week we go live and we do this sports show called the Champions Adjust Sports Talk Show because I've loved sports my whole life. Sports have absolutely changed the way I think and feel about the world. They've changed the texture of my mind. And so I will give you my thoughts and opinions on things that are happening in the world of sports. And I will give you what I think sort of the mindset and the mental skill or maybe the reason behind it is, along with my take. Mostly I talk about baseball. I jump in a little bit of other sports. Sometimes I talk about pro wrestling because I also love professional wrestling, but I also have another YouTube channel called Pro Wrestling Daily where I react to professional wrestling. And if you want more mental health, personal development, all those types of things, I also have a podcast called Something for Everybody. So all I do is talk for a living. So if you enjoy my voice, there's tons of places on the internet to find me. I'm everywhere. So let's jump into sort of the most high profile thing that's happening in the sports world. That's the betting scandals, starting with the National Basketball Association, the NBA, right? We know that federal investigations and arrests were made October 2025. I'm recording this in October 27th, 2025. Arrests were made. A federal indictment led to the arrest of over 30 people, including a sitting NBA coach, Chauncey Billups of the Portland Trailblazers, and a player, Terry Rozier, I guess is how you say his name, of the Miami Heat. So Terry Rozier, I guess, is accused of exploiting his own playing status by sharing non-public information, including allegedly faking an injury to leave a game early to help bettors profit on prop bets, or wagers on individual player statistics. Wow, that's like unbelievable. And then Chauncey Billups, on top of that, is accused of involvement in a separate scheme to rig high stakes poker games tied to mafia families. And then former NBA player and assistant coach Damon Jones was also charged with leaking insider information. I think this information is just the tip of the iceberg of what we're going to see of sort of how the NBA and NFL and all these other major sports organizations are fixing games. We know that WWE is a predetermined sport. It's out in the opens for everyone to know, it's for everyone to understand. It's all very clear what is the WWE. It's sports entertainment. Now, for a long time, there have been hints and rumors and sort of innuendos and conspiracy theories that all these other major sports organizations might be fixed. Now, I don't think it happens all the time, everywhere, in every play. That would be ridiculous to assume that sort of conspiracy theory. But there are some things that happen that just don't seem like they're possible. They just don't seem likely. That's a coincidence. That seems extraordinary. That seems kind of weird. Of course, there are like I don't ever because I played sports for a very long time at a high level. I was a Division I athlete, All American, professional wrestler, all these types of things, and so I know what it takes to be great. And I know there's no real fixing of sports in sort of the lower levels at elite college sports, maybe in college football, maybe in the SEC. I actually don't know that, but where I played, it was not. And so you do see these amazing athletes doing amazing things. And my conversation around this is never to take away the fact that those athletes are doing incredible shit. And they're amazing and they've worked their ass off and they've bled and they've sweat and they've just been in the arena doing the damn thing. So this conversation should never take away from the fact that there are amazing athletes doing amazing things and we're seeing that in real time no matter what sport. Now, make sure you're drinking your coffee. It's a beautiful day. And so, let's see. And so when we think about that, then we think about, okay, there is certain instances throughout the sporting history where you think like that just doesn't seem like it's possible. And so then you think about, okay, if WWE is fixed, it's predetermined, but it's still very entertaining and very popular, and it's called sports entertainment, isn't that sort of everything else also sports entertainment? Because if there's no fans, there's no money. There's no merchandise, there's no ticket sales. And so is it really as popular as it could be? Most likely not. So it is sports entertainment, NBA, NFL, NHL, soccer, golf, everything is sports entertainment. And so if you want to make things more entertaining or you want to make more money, which everything is driven by money, why not fix or rig certain games? And you've seen it with Chauncey Billups. You've seen it with Terry Rosery or whatever his name is, however you say it. Someone is obviously going to correct me once they as they're watching this. But then you think, okay, some people are pulling the strings behind the scenes potentially with like an injury here. This guy gets pulled here. This guy's not playing tonight here. This ref got an extra $1,000 here. And this happened here. And then there's that. And then I'm going to the Mafia games. And then this guy gets beat up in the parking lot before the game and yada, yada, boom, boom, boom. We see this happen in movies all the time. Where do you think people got all this shit from? They just made it out of thin air. No, it happens in real time. It's like when you watch that movie, that TV show with Kevin Spacey that was really good for a while before he became a whatever he did. I don't know. What was it called? The political movie. It's like blackballing, blackmailing, and throwing people in front of trains and like murdering people and forcing them to do this and that. You think that just like came up out of thin air? No, people actually do that shit in real life. And the same thing with sports. And so now all of these betting companies, draft picks and prize picks and fan duels and doo-doo, blah, 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 everything is about betting. So they're trying now to eliminate, quote unquote, eliminate, at least in the public eye, eliminate all of these sort of illegal sports betting things. So it looks like they're cleaning house when really they're just promoting more FanDuel and more prize picks, and then more stuff is going to keep happening underneath the surface. But it looks like the NBA is cleaning house and they're doing all these types of things to get rid of this illegal sports betting and fixing games and shaving points and all these types of things that do absolutely happen. I think it's not that hard to happen in NBA. It's a little bit harder in the NFL. It's a little bit harder in Major League Baseball and definitely in hockey. But it happens all the time in the NBA. These guys are so fucking lazy in the NBA. They walk up and down the court. So, of course, you can get someone to score 35 points in a game. You bet on that, you make $1 million because nobody plays any fucking defense. Like, you're not going to find that in the NHL. Those guys don't take a second off. And it's really hard in Major League Baseball because there's so many moving parts, and one guy really doesn't have that much control over the game. NFL, maybe you could pay off the quarterback, I guess, or some referees. I think maybe the referees get paid off more than sort of anyone else. But these are some of the ideas that can happen. And so, since every fucking major sports organization in the whole world is like sponsored by FanDuels and Prize Picks and this, that, and all that shit, which I think is horrible, they're going to try to uh, like lead you into thinking that like they're removing all of this illegal betting. Everything is clean. This is legal stuff. It's good for the game. It's good for the publicity. It's good for the fans. Everyone can make money, yada, yada, yada. When really people are doing what Chauncey Billups is doing and going underneath the mafia dark tables and betting on this and betting on this and forcing it to go this way and this way. He's the freaking head coach of a basketball team. He can decide who plays. Who plays in the game is super important to the outcome of the game. If he plays all of his slapdick starters, of course they're going to lose. So you bet on the loss. You make $100 million, whatever the case may be. So this is bad. This is bad for sports. It's a bad look. It's even worse for those who are super, super keen on thinking this is a real conspiracy theory. And I'm here talking about it now. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but damn. I've been in professional wrestling. I know what a predetermined sport looks like. It looks like this. It looks like shaving points and doing this and doing that and doing things behind people's back and not playing here and having an injury here, but not really having an injury here, and then playing a little slower here and then playing a little better here, and then going hard here and shaving the points here and giving the referee money here and having too much to drink the night before, so you play a little sluggish here. It's like, oh my God, all of these things are possible. But I'm not going to fully commit to saying sports are fixed. I'm not going to do that. I love sports too much. I love the unpredictability of it. I love the greatness of it. I love everything about sports, and mostly I love the mindset it takes to be great in sports, because that translates to every single area of your life. And so I'm not going to fully believe that sports are predetermined all the time or they're fixed, because it brings so much joy to people, but also for young people and young athletes, it teaches them so much about life. And if the word gets out that sports are fixed, even at the highest levels, what are kids going to think when they're moving up the levels? Like, what's the point? If I get to the highest level, someone's just going to tell me to win or lose. So what's the point of now? People are already quitting youth sports by the age of 13, which is horrible for the fabric of our society, right? Because youth sports have become $1 billion industry. We're not sure what to do right now. And so we need to be very clear about what sports are. Sports are a vehicle to express the best version of yourself creatively, authentically, and we need to teach young people that. That's why Champions Adjust is about a mindset program, right? It's about instilling these values that can be applied in every area of your life. Because no matter if you are the best in the world at what you do, look at Clayton Kershaw. He's about to retire for the Los Angeles Dodgers. His pitch for the last 20 years. He's going into his 40s. He has his whole life ahead of him. He's super young, got kids, got a wife, right? Even Max Scherzer, who's going to pitch tonight in game 3 of the World Series, eventually will retire around 41, 42. He also has the rest of his life. What skills did he extrapolate that he can use anywhere? What skills did Clayton Kershaw learn as a baseball player that he can now use as a father and vice versa? All of these things can be applied, and they're really cool. That's why we have to think about sports in that way as just a teacher. As a teacher for how to become the best version of ourselves in greatest service to the world, and all this other shit that happens, these conspiracies and the sports betting and the shaving and all this stuff. Hopefully it gets cleaned up, but I just don't see that happening. But I want to be very clear how powerful sports are, regardless of if you play professionally. There's very other few avenues and arenas in life where you can learn the things you learn in sports: reciprocity, effort, hard work, teammates, great relationships. What you put in is what you get out. You're going to fall down. How many times can you get back up? Those things are the important parts of life that we really should be honing in on. And I think that's important when you have this whole conversation about whatever sports betting or fucking fixing sports and shit. And then it leads me to another conversation. When I was listening to First Take to get my brain ready for my sports show, because I listen to a lot of different things, right? I do a professional wrestling show. I talk a lot about mental health and personal development, and I listen to a lot of stuff about politics. Not that I ever talk about. Well, I talk about them a little bit in terms of like what I care about, but not really politics. But I was listening to Konstantin Kisin and Francis Foster on Joe Rogan, and they sometimes talk about politics. And anyway, so I wanted to get my mind right for this show, not to get off track, but it is my show. I can say whatever I want. So I wanted to get on track for this show. So I was listening to a little First Take, and Cam Newton comes on. They're talking about, Brian Kelly being fired from LSU, and there's a $54 million buyout, and him and Paul Feinbaum and Stephen A. Smith were saying, do we agree with this move? This is the right move. And they were all saying they agree with the move. So I'll say that I agree with the move. I don't really know much. I know he was like 34-19 or something like that at LSU in 4 years, didn't make a college football playoff, didn't win a national championship like the previous guys before him, Les Miles, Nick Saban, and some other guy they talked about. And then Cam Newton went on to talk about, coaching in the SEC. And he used some phrasing that I just am not a fan of. But maybe this is what it's like in the SEC. I never played in the SEC. I played Division I. We played some really big schools, but we never played anyone from the SEC. And I've never been in that side of that environment, especially in a football space. But from what I know about mindset and mental skills and mental performance, I don't think this is the right approach. But Cam Newton said LSU fired him because they don't accept mediocrity, which I agree. You shouldn't at the highest levels. If you have that kind of money in your top tier program and you want to pay the best, you want to be the best, great. You're not going to accept mid-tier. Like LSU is a national championship program. Everyone knows that. And so if you go 4 seasons and you don't win a national championship, pretty much you're fucking done. And I'm willing to just eat the $54 million for you to go home and sit on your ass. Totally fine. And then he talked about what's happening with Alabama and their head coach, who I don't know the name of him, but he said he came in and said, guys, we have to win. We need to win. Every game is life or death. And this is an approach I do not agree with. You have two opposite ends of the spectrum. Brian Kelly was way too lackadaisical and way too loose, and he didn't get that fire from his kids, and they didn't perform as probably well as they could have, because they have top-tier talent. I'm sure they do. I don't know a ton about LSU or college football, but I know about the mindset and coaching and leadership. And so he was on that end of the spectrum of like kind of too laid back. And then maybe you have an Alabama because you're the coach right after Nick Saban. And so you want to keep the greatness going. And so you go to the other extreme of saying, this is our breath. This is life or death. If we do not win this game, we die. We need this. We have to have this. Those are the two ends of the spectrum that aren't conducive to winning long-term consistently. Nick Saban did not say that to his players. Nick Saban always famously talks about process, 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 process. Yes, of course, you want to win a national championship. That's the goal every year. Yes, you want to make money for your business. Yes, you want to be the best at something. Of course, that's the goal. But now let's largely forget about the goal and what are the daily actions? What are the processes? What are the systems that we can apply day in and day out that are going to get us there? And so I don't know if Nick Saban has any say about what's happening in Alabama now. Maybe he's just doing his thing. And this is just what Cam Newton said on First Take. Maybe this is not actually what the Alabama coach is saying to his players. But I trust Cam Newton. Like this is what his job is, right? College football analyst, sports analyst. He says that the Alabama coach says that this is life or death. We have to win. Now, maybe for that Alabama coach, it is life or death because his job is on the line. His livelihood is on the line. His money's on the line, but he's not going to die. No one's going to die. And to use that language, I think is wrong. And then to go to the other side of the spectrum is Brian Kelly, who's too lazy. And I think it's wrong, not in a sense it's like hurtful or anything. Like you can say whatever you want as a coach pretty much, but it's not bringing out the best in your players because you don't have to do anything. You don't need to do anything. There should be a want, a fire. And if you're a leader and a coach, you draw that out of your players in the most healthy and productive way possible, not through force, not through coercion, not through saying you have to do this. Because what does that do? That constricts their ability to play loose, to play free. And everyone knows, you ask any great athlete on the planet, when they play loose and free, they play better. When they're having fun, they play better. There's two rules that we can apply to every area of our life. Two standards that we can apply to every area of our life. Try your hardest and have fun. And people are going to say, you can't have those rules in SEC football. It's too cutthroat. So you're telling me that every single person on my roster is trying their absolute hardest and executing their role to the best of their ability, and they're having fun doing it. You don't think I'm going to have the best performances? You must be out of your mind. But people want to overcomplicate things. So you don't think if I go into a business with 120 employees and every single employee there follows those two standards. Try your fucking hardest, execute your role to the best of your ability, and have fun. You don't think that's conducive to great performance? Then you don't know. Then you don't know what great performance is. And so you have this guy at Alabama who's like basically dying to continue the greatness of Alabama, but he's using that in the wrong way to motivate his players potentially and not the right way. Now, I don't know if he's what he's saying day to day or at practice or all these types of things, but most coaches say we need to win. We have to win. We should win. And that translates to the players having that same type of self-talk. God, I need to make this play. No, you don't. What's going to fucking happen to you? Nothing. Nothing is going to happen to you. Someone might be mad at you. Someone might yell at you. The worst thing that might happen is fans are going to send you death threats, which is horrible and should never happen. But actually, physically, nothing is going to happen to you. But what if we take another approach of trying to draw the best in our players through caring for them first, loving them first, and then living by these two standards? Fuck it, let it rip. Try your hardest and execute your specific role to the best of your ability, because that is very important on a team environment, sports business. This is my role. I know exactly what it is, and I'm going to try my very best, 100% effort, which means success on this thing, and I'm going to have fun doing it. That's how you draw the best out of someone. So now when the game is on the line and there's quote unquote pressure and it's a big game, they're still playing free and loose because you live by the two same standards, no matter what the situation is. And in my opinion, that's how it should be done. And you can do that with high school, college, youth, pro athletes, the best in the world. It doesn't matter. That's the vibe. That's the vibe. At least that's what I've learned as someone who's worked with athletes in mental performance. And that's what we do with the Champions Adjust Mindset program. Now, I've talked a little bit about those things, which I wanted to talk about. And then we'll do a little bit of NFL, and then the rest of the show will be about, World Series, because tonight, October 27th, tonight is Game 3 of the World Series, where we will see the ageless wonder Max Scherzer versus Tyler Glasnow. So I think if the Dodgers win Game 3, it's pretty much a guarantee that they're going to win the series. Now, if the Blue Jays win, they got a chance. They have a chance. If they lose Game 3 tonight, and then they go against Game 4, it's freaking Shohei Ohtani. Game 5 is going to be Blake Snell again, and then Yamamoto. And like Yamamoto's thrown back-to-back complete games. Blake Snell had his worst pitching performance of the postseason, which he'll bounce back and have a better one. So this is the game for the Blue Jays if they want to stay in the World Series. Now, I just said I wasn't going to talk about this until later, but I get fucking fired up. So a little bit of NFL. I didn't really watch much NFL on NFL Sunday, but I did watch most of the Steelers and Packers game because I'm a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. But besides that, the Packers look great. I think the Packers are the best team in the NFC, probably better than the Eagles. And I think the Packers are going to make a run this year. Obviously, Chiefs look great. It's crazy that the Jets finally got a win. And sadly, for my mom's sake, even though she was hanging out with her grandson, so she was still good overall, and we had a great day yesterday together as a family, the Cowboys got their fucking asses beat by Bo Nix. Their defense is atrocious. And then Jerry Jones goes out and says, we're one player away. Man, we're just one player away from having a great defense. Well, you fucking gave that one player away, mate. His name's Micah Parsons, and you refused to pay him. And so Stephen A. Smith is under the impression that the Dallas Cowboys could be in the NFC Championship game if they have a decent defense. Because right now they have the worst defense in the league. I think they've given up 40 points like the last 4 straight games. They have a really, really, really good offense. Dak Prescott is playing really, really good football. Their offense is high-powered, really good, which is a good enough offense to make it to the NFC Championship. But they need a decent defense to keep a team between, 20 and 25 points. And so Stephen A. Smith is under the impression that they should go out and buy someone. And that would really shore up their team like a pass rusher. Because if you look at NFL analysts, all they talk about is like you need to have a good quarterback and you need to have a great pass rusher. And right now, the Dallas Cowboys do not have a great pass rusher because they gave him away to the best team in the NFC East, or to the best team in the NFC, which is the Packers. And so now Jerry Jones is saying we need to go out and get one guy. So maybe they'll get one guy. Maybe it's Max Crosby. Maybe it's Myles Garrett. Whoever it is, it's going to be a pass rusher. And maybe that shores up their defense a little bit so they become middle of the road, not the worst. And maybe they have a potential to make a run for it and get into the NFC Championship, which would be fucking amazing because my mom loves the Dallas Cowboys and I love my mom and I want her to be happy. But yesterday, she wasn't too sad because she was holding her grandson the whole time. And that was amazing. And that's a great vibe. So cheers to that. So I'm still, my very bold Super Bowl prediction at the beginning of the year was the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the 49ers, San Francisco 49ers. I think that's probably wrong. I think a cool Super Bowl would be like Packers Chiefs. That'd be a cool Super Bowl. I fuck with that. But I'm still going Steelers 49ers. Let's go Aaron Rodgers all the way, my man. So, and that's really the only thing I'll say about the frickin' NFL. Now let's share some screens here. Let's see what we got going on. Let's go to X. I bookmarked some tweets and let's rage with that a little bit. So big news from October 22nd, which is about 5 days ago. Make sure you drink your coffee, which is about 5 days ago. The Tennessee baseball coach, Tony Vitello, is finalized a deal to become the next manager of the San Francisco Giants. Sources tell Jeff Passan and Pete Thamel. Vitello won the 2024 College World Series and transformed the program into a powerhouse. Yes, I mean, I coach high school baseball right now in the summer, and everybody wants to play at Tennessee. And it looks like the new coach they hired is someone very popular because all their commits are still staying. And so that's a cool sort of transition. He's to be the first manager in MLB history to jump directly from college to the bigs without any pro baseball experience. That's crazy. So someone said, take 44 seconds out of your day to listen to Tony Vitello talk about how he approaches each new opportunity given to him. He's truly an impressive human being. Feels like Buster Posey really did find his guy. Well, I'd love to hear what he has to say. Here we go.
Competition, instead of shying away from it, is going to make them better. And it's a random note, but a nugget I wanted to share with you guys is I was nervous as hell to get a job other than being a recruiting coordinator. But there was somebody a long time ago who was offered a job, and the guy wasn't sure about it. And I'm sitting at kind of a round table. I think we were down in Atlanta, East Cobb. And the guy just talked about, you're never going to be ready for the next job until you do it. So get rid of those nerves and realize everybody's got to have a first. Everybody's got to start somewhere. Coastal Carolina's got to go to Omaha for the first time. And then you navigate your way through it and you figure it out. But I don't think there's ever a moment where you're just ready. Competition, instead of shying away from it.
Fair enough, Tony. Fair enough. Well, you just became the first. You just became the first manager in MLB history to jump from freaking college to the bigs without any pro baseball experience. That's fucking wild. So, man, I hope he does great. I hope he crushes it. I mean, Buster Posey is going out on a limb to try and find the best possible manager for his baseball team so they can win baseball games. I love Buster Posey. I think he's fucking phenomenal. And this could be one of the greatest moves in sports history. Tony Vitello. I never loved how Tennessee played the game. They did a lot of stuff like flipping the middle finger off and this and that. But you always knew that the boys that played for Tennessee and played for Coach Vitello loved him because he loved his players back, and he brings fire, he brings juice. And that's what you have to have as a Major League Baseball manager. It's a 162-game season. You have to be able to motivate your guys on a day-to-day basis to go out and play the game as hard as you possibly can each and every night. Two standards. Try your hardest, have fun. And I think Tony potentially bring that to the San Francisco Giants, who have a culture of winning. I mean, they won 3 World Series in 6 years. They have great players. They could do the thing. This could be one of the coolest moves in the history of baseball. So we'll see how it goes. All right, let's go back to to X. I guess the picture in the picture is not working, which is kind of unfortunate. And then another head coaching job, Jeff Passan tweeted out, the Baltimore Orioles have finalized a deal to hire Craig Albernays as the manager, sources tell ESPN. Albernays is 42, was previously an associate manager with Cleveland, and was wildly sought after candidate for open managerial jobs. He joins O's coming off a 75 and 87 win season. So you have those two cats who are looking to turn around those programs. Orioles were good for a couple years, but they couldn't wait. They couldn't win in the playoffs. Giants historically are a very, 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 very good baseball club. So we'll see how that goes for them. So there's 2 new managers who are now linked in Major League Baseball. And then let's talk about the World Series, right? We got the World Series. It's tied up 1-1. Yamamoto throws another complete game in game 2. Absolutely stellar performance. We got game 3 tonight. Which is Max Scherzer versus Tyler Glasnow, which we will preview here in a second. But let's see what Jeff said about Yamamoto by the numbers. He had 9 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 run, 0 walks, 8 strikeouts, 105 pitches, 73 strikes, 17 swing and misses, 11 groundouts, and 3 flyouts. There are pitchers who can do everything. Yamamoto was one, the splitter, the 4-seam, the curve, all of it worked. People are now saying because of these back-to-back performances, Yamamoto should be considered in the greats like Skubal and Skeens of today's baseball era. And he may be, if he puts together even more starts like this in the playoffs, if he gets the chance to start again, and if he follows it up with an incredible regular season next year. Again, his last 2 starts, you rarely see complete games anymore. I mean, I talked about Bob Gibson a couple shows back, where in one World Series, Bob Gibson threw 3 complete games, game 1, 5, and 7, some on 3 days rest, and gave up 3 runs total in those 3 starts. You're never going to see anything like that. I mean, you saw something like that in 2014 with Madison Bumgarner, but this is back-to-back starts in 2 different series, but one is in the World Series. So 18 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 2 complete games, 15 strikeouts, 1 walk, 2-0 record. Just an unreal October, and he is very much carrying the Dodgers and their elite starting pitching right now. And so this guy says, honestly, Jake says he's making $27 million a year only. Dude, he's making $27 million a year. Fuck, only. You don't got to put only there. It's $27 million a year. That's amazing. He just turned 27 years old. He's on his way to winning a second World Series ring in 2 years. In the show, Yamamoto is greatness. I agree. Yes, I think if the Dodgers win tonight and Glasnow pitches well and they beat Scherzer, then they're definitely on their way to winning the World Series. I completely agree with that statement. So that's that. But really, I mean, the freaking Blue Jays season tonight all comes down to Scherzer. Scherzer loses tonight. I think the Blue Jays are done. But Scherzer's mad, dude. It's Mad Max in the fucking building, dude. That guy's a little bit nutty. But dude, what an absolute legend Scherzer is. Like, so let's preview the game. MLB.com previewed the game. Let's check it out. Let's see what they got. Yeah, I mean, have a great series, classic series in right now. 1-1, great stuff going on right here. That's a great question. Does Mad Max have another vintage game in him? Can he go 5 innings? Can he go 6 innings? Because they desperately need it, right? They desperately need it. They had it in Game 4 victory over the Mariners when he went 5 innings and famously told his, manager to get back in the dugout. He's got this shit, threw the breaking ball, got the strikeout. Boom, they move on. They win that game, and then they win. They eventually up winning the series. And so, going into that moment, Scherzer had a 10.2 ERA in September and hadn't pitched in a month. He put his team on the back, and maybe he'll put his team on his back again. He has to. He has no other choice. They need him now to throw 5, 6 really, really good innings tonight. Again, if the Dodgers win, I think the series is over. But the question then is, can the Dodgers' big three get going? I mean, Ohtani, right? We know Ohtani, 3 MVP awards since 2001, with a 4th likely coming next month. You have the 2018 AL MVP Mookie Betts and the 2020 NL MVP Freddie Freeman. Haven't done great. Will they get going? Because really, really get going. Let's see. It remains terrifying to have to face those guys at any stage of the game. It sure must feel like they're constantly coming up with the lineup, but it should be said that they're really not tearing it up this postseason. In the World Series, they're 4 for 21 with 2 RBIs. In the entire postseason, even when you account for Ohtani's Game 4 outburst, they have combined for 34 of 142, a hardly MVP-esque 239. Betts and Freeman have combined 1 homer and 7 RBIs in the 12 games. This is particularly worrisome because the Blue Jays seem to have a firm plan for Ohtani, who's 2 for 8 so far and keeps getting attacked by wily left-handers lately. That is very, very important. I mean, if the Blue Jays can keep the big 3 down, that means Hernandez and Kiki Hernandez and Edman and all these other guys are going to have to step up, which they have before in the past stepped up. But it all really comes down to the pitching, because if they only need to score 1 or 3 runs a game, that's possible, right? The 11-run outburst in Game 1 was very, very random and most likely won't happen again, unless the Dodgers pitching just gets tittied again. But that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen again. And so if the Dodgers' big 3 don't get going, they can still win, because they have the pitching to match. Now, once you get into the bullpens for both sides are always going to be iffy. Dodgers starting pitching is amazing. Like, we'll see what Glasnow and Ohtani do in the next couple games. Max Scherzer is trying to put the team on his back again. Bullpens are a little iffy. The Blue Jays lineup has been really, really good, led by Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But the 34 for 142 in the postseason for the big 3 is horrible. Ohtani's 2 for 8. Betts and Freeman haven't done shit. So if they start to break out, if those big 3 break out in this Game 3 of the World Series and Glasnow pitches great, the series is over. That's what I'm saying. If the Blue Jays win tonight, they have a chance to win the series. If they lose tonight, I just don't think it's possible, because then you face Ohtani, and then you face Blake Snell again, and then you face Yamamoto in Game 6, and then there's a potential Game 7. I mean, I picked the Dodgers to win in Game 6, and I asked my mother too. She also picked the Dodgers to win in Game 6, and she's never wrong. So it looks like the Dodgers are fucking winning in 6 games, and I think that starts tonight with them getting the win. I think Ohtani pitches decent in Game 4, but he doesn't get the win. And then Blake Snell comes back, throws really well to win a 3rd game. And then to cap it off, a historic postseason, Yamamoto pitches Game 6 with another complete game for 3 complete games in a row, caps off a historic World Series, wins the MVP of the World Series, and the Dodgers go back-to-back. That's my prediction right here, right now, on October 27th, 2025, for the 2025 World Series. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'd absolutely love to hear from you. Then like this video, subscribe wherever you're at, Twitch, YouTube, Spotify. I don't know where you're watching, but subscribe. follow me, follow Champions Adjust. Remember to go to champsadjust.com for anything Champions Adjust related. And I appreciate you very much. Make sure you take good care of yourselves, take care of others, and I'll see you guys next time. So lots of love. Cheers.